urban biogenic carbon exchange and the environmental perturbations, the case study of Chicago metro area. So actually, when we're talking about the urban carbon emissions, we mostly focus on the anthropogenic emission because it's a huge source for all the carbon dioxide. But actually, in the urban area we have trees, right? So a little refreshment from the high school knowledge about the photosynthesis and respiration. So the photosynthesis actually absorb CO2 and release oxygen from the tree leaves, and the respiration part actually from the leaf respiration and also the soil respiration due to the microbial activities. But actually, in the urban environment, it's another layer of complexity because we have the heat release from urban streets and also the anthropogenic CO2 release and also the control of irrigation and all the maintenance, etc. So in this case, we have active human controls on the urban plants. So this will lead to the distinctive living condition for the urban vegetation, and also a lot of passive impact such as UHI and the elevated CO2 background level. It also will change the environmental condition for the plants. To the current date, there's no reliable model that can simulate the plant physiological behavior in cities because the complexity of the urban environment and also the heterogeneity of the urban environment. And the variability of the urban biogenic CO2 exchange actually underestimated. I will show you with our modeling result. So basically what we do is we coupled a offline urban biogenic carbon model to urban modeling framework. In this case, we can add a lot of detail about the urban plants in the street canyon. For example, we can use a very high resolution vegetation properties such as LAI and coverage from the satellite image, and also prescribe some soil properties regarding for example, the garden soil we use in the urban environments. That's artificial made soil, which is different from nature soil, and also we can prescribe the background CO2 level calculated from anthropogenic emission at very high resolution. In this case, we will get the most accurate response from the urban plant in case of urban heat, CO2 level, and all the management. Furthermore, to the world simulation, we kept out in the urban environment, we kept out the resolution about 1 kilometer, and then we can choose the composite urban types or fractional urban types to further downscale the result to a even higher resolution. And this is the our study domain, which is the city Chicago metropolitan area. As you can see, there are lots of diverse land use in Chicago area. Most of that is residential region, which you can have a front yard, a backyard, and do the irrigation, do a lot of stuff with your plant. And in the event of other environmental perturbations, for example, the heat wave plus the urban heat island effect, we do the simulation over the entire summer in 2016, and we identify some heat wave episodes within these months. The heat wave episode is defined as the 2 or 3 consecutive days when it's exceeding the historical average, say the daily maximum value and daily minimum value. So in this case, we run the simulation in the normal level. So we don't do anything with the plants, and then after that we rerun the simulation with the irrigation function of water turned on. Means we deliberately irrigate the soil every night to its threshold. Then it will give more water availability to the plant to see what's the difference between these two. And here's the results. In the case of the heat wave, in this case, we're contrasting the behavior between heat wave days versus non-heat wave days. So both GPP and respiration, GPP is actually the carbon that's absorbed from the atmosphere to the plant. Our respiration is a carbon release. So both GPP and R increase under high heat, meaning when you raise the temperature, all the metabolism for the chemical reactions increase. So both activities increase. And the increase amount is proportional to the biomass. So that matters when you plan to plant trees in some region versus another. So it will actually change the carbon pool of that region and also the sequestration rate of that region. But in the event of the urban irrigation, in this case, we contrast after irrigation versus before irrigation. You can see GPV increase but R decrease. The respiration decrease is because the environmental control of respiration is the temperature and soil moisture. When the temperature drops due to irrigation, it actually decrease the chemical activities. So actually leading to the environmental co-benefit. By co-benefit, I'm saying it will decrease the temperature, which mitigates urban heat, as well as absorb more carbon from the atmosphere. And the change shows significant spatial variation. It's not like strictly overlap with the biomass, but overlap with how you manage these landscapes. And we also quantify like which sector, which land use actually have the largest change. As you can see, the residential region, which takes the majority land of Chicago metropolitan region, actually have a lot of change regarding the respiration and the GPP. And follow that, we have urban parks and road and streets. So that's actually the street trees around the street blocks. And then we calculate to explain all the pathways. We use an environmental benefit score to further symbolize, to explain this to the say the stakeholders and policymakers to say, okay, how do we achieve the maximum environmental co-benefits to create a cooler environment and to increase the carbon capture from this framework. So in the event of heat wave, we identify the humidity and the heat, actually the two things that govern the mechanisms and also the irrigation pathway. So for the sake of time, I will skip this part, but we do have a paper like almost in press. So we also have a preprint, so feel free to read that. Yeah. So I will maybe spend more time on this slide. So actually, what's the implications of this study? First of all, the carbon sink means we prove that the carbon sink synthesis can create multiple environmental benefits. So that's actually beyond what we previous know can maybe create a cooling city, but also can sequester more CO2 from the atmosphere. But for now, we still lack of consensus on the potential of the carbon reduction and emission that from the biogenic sectors. The second is that we definitely need more urban observation studies to validate the modeling results. And then we can scale up all the modeling from a city to a city clusters and to national level. The third is that we still need the dynamic high-resolution wide coverage modeling assessment tools. So since in this case study, we focus only on Chicago metropolitan area, we can achieve really high resolution, but how do we achieve the wide coverage? This is national coverage. We definitely need more data from the satellite image, more data from the urban observation set. And I recently just found this very interesting article actually from the research team in Boston University. They discovered that from observation, the city trees and soil are sucking more carbon out of the atmosphere than the previous one. Meaning, even we consider we can for the companies that like keen on purchasing the carbon credits from some distant forest, we actually can advise them to purchase some carbon credits in the cities because they are even better carbon credits. They create cooling effects and they reduce carbon emissions as well. With that, I can take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very interesting. We got some questions from the audience. We got lots.
I have a question about the respiration. So did you have soil included? Because I would be assuming that the soil emissions would be greater with the heat, with the increasing heat, and also with the, you said the photosynthesis and respiration are equally decreasing and increasing. I mean, like opposite effects. But if you have soil included, it should be the soil emissions should be increasing much more. And also, I'm not sure why it would be depending so strongly on biomass. Of course, you have the root system below ground, but still.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, the model takes the soil respiration and above ground, the biomass respiration as a whole to create the ecosystem respiration. Meaning actually we consider all of the respiration from the leaves respiration plus the soil respiration. So that's the reason why it's connected to the biomass, because the leaf density and the above ground biomass will do the effect on the respiration portion.
So the irrigation then be increasing also the emissions because the soil is reacting. The more moist, the more active also the organisms are there.
Yes. So I'll refer to this slide. So the overall effect for the NE, the net ecosystem exchange, is actually increased. Right? So meaning it's released more carbon also out of the environment. So that's because of the increase of soil respiration. So that's the reason why when you have a high heat, and then it's gonna do this effect. But if you have the other effects, let's say the irrigation, it actually decrease the temperature, so that there will be always a competing effect between temperature versus the humidity versus the soil moisture. So in this slides, actually there are two competing effects: the moisturizing and the cooling. When you irrigate your landscape to a certain degree, you can fine tune that to achieve the environmental covenant. But that's not always happening. Right? It's always not always happening. For example, if you do a wrong pathway, probably you will achieve the trade-off effect. When you increase the temperature very to a large degree, but you also increase the soil moisture. In that case, you will release more carbon.
Thank you very much for the interesting presentation. Looking from University of Wyoming. I'm wondering if it's possible to validate the carbon simulation at a small scale. Have you think about that? The second question is, what if about buildings involved with doing the work and getting more complexity there? How does that going to affect your results?
Okay, actually, this study is validated to anti-Provence towers in the metropolitan area, but unfortunately, this anti-Provence system is not in purely, say, the urban street canyon environment. It's more like a campus, a university campus. So located here. So actually, the physics behind us, we still follow the process-based relations from the nature land. So actually, we just increase the temperature and increase the background CO2 level to see how it's changed. And in this framework, actually, since we also use a modeling framework. In this case, we are considering the building height and the street width as the canyon aspect ratio to reflect the shading effect, to reflect the radiation trap effect. So actually, that has been taken into account in this model.
Thank you. I think we need to move on to the next talk.
Thank you.
At this stage, I think that the last speaker may not be here, in which case we will spend that last 15 minutes of the session with more discussion. So